Time now before I forget.
Hello.
Five 5:30. You ready? I'd like to call the village board, or the village board finance meeting to order. The village board intends to comply with all applicable federal, state, and county executive orders, proclamations, and guidelines. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call on open meeting law compliance check.
President Jeff Millies.
Here.
Trustee Jay Pecca. Trustee Jim Hirth.
Here.
Mr. President, note for record, you do have a quorum of your village board, but you also have one board member that had a previous very important engagement and one that is very, very ill. But you're in full compliance with the open meetings law.
All right. Notice is hereby given that on Wednesday, December 10th, 2025, at 5:30, the Village Hall located at West 249 S8910 Center Drive, a public hearing on the 2026 proposed budget of the Village of Vernon and Waukesha County will be held. The proposed budget in detail is available for inspection at the office of the clerk from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and on the Village of Vernon website at www.villageofvernonwi.org. The notice was posted inside and outside the Vernon Village Hall, inside the door of the Vernon Fire Department Number 1 on W233 S7475 Woodland. Citizens Bank Vernon location on W236 S7050 Big Bend Drive and on the village website. Miscellaneous matters. Refuse and recycling rate of $1.84 per unit for 2026.
Mr. President and board members, calculation is $184 per unit per year. So if people order extra, that's between them and Waste Management. We do have a few people that, when we started the contract, have doubles. But what you would be approving is the 184. Last year it was 178. This year it's 184.
up $6.
Yes. So you need a formal motion because as soon as you approve the budget, I'm going to email the county and they're going to start printing the bills tonight, just so you know. That's how close we are in time.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the refuse and recycling rate of $184 per unit for 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing,
Remain absent.
you can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with,
Oh, okay.
All right. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
and then, Mr. President, if you wouldn't mind, I just wanted to give some highlights to the public, which are good highlights. The public notice that was done, the levy of $1,989,589. When I talked to the auditor at the DOR, she had said that was our tax levy. But then when I talked to another tax auditor from the state of Wisconsin, it is the tax levy, but it's the overall tax levy for the $1.7 million that we need to sustain the village's levy portion, and the $272,993 that we have to pay for the previous debt that the village board had incurred when they borrowed $2.9 million several years ago. So that the public notice of the 1,989,589 is the levy that we have to give to the county tonight for them to run the tax bills. And with that change, the tax rate goes from the 165 that was published, it is now 145 per thousand. And the other notice that I wanted to tell the public in the initial capital, this village board had planned to borrow $2,356,000 for, there was $100,000 in the road project. The DPW new truck was $299,000. The fire department's truck, new stock truck was $900,000. Bunker gear is $35,000, protective clothing was $30,000, and their mobile computers that they use when they go to a site is $22,000 for a total of $987,000, $100,000. The village general budget was $30,000 for a new computer, a new sound system that works, $25,000 for new financial software, $5,000 to replace the ripped carpeting that's in the deputy's office, and $10,000 to replace these desks that are falling apart. So that came up to $2,356,000 that the board had planned for. And I got a letter from our auditor indicating that from the previous debt that the previous board had incurred, there's a remaining balance of $928,800 that you can use instead of borrowing, which is you don't want to borrow any more than we have to. So the new borrowing would be $1,427,200 instead of the $22,356,000. So that capital outlay has changed also. One of the things I wanted to explain in the detailed budget is on your summary of all funds, it changed from on page 1, as I just explained, the 2.3 million to the 1.4. So the total revenues that are needed with is the 5.7 million, well, 5728020. And then the revenues matches the budget. And I just wanted to tell you exactly what you're going to need. Remember last year when you did the budget, you needed $494,000 to balance the fire department, the wages, to keep our fire department members. And there was no increases in anybody's wages this year, because if we had to borrow that money, well, we're not going to borrow it. We're going to take that money from the ARPA funds that we have left, and probably another $100,000 from the remaining contingency fund that we have. But this is the last year. The board's going to have to go to the public and ask them if they want to sustain that that wages for the fire department, because with this budget, we've used all of our ARPA funds, which is legal. That's a legitimate expenditure for ARPA funds.
We had to use it.
Right, otherwise you wouldn't have balanced the budget. Sorry, guys. What else did I want to tell you? Let's see. I went through with, just so that you guys know, I went through your notice, your summary of all funds, your GF sums, your expenditures, all with the Department of Revenue before, because I just wanted to make sure, absolutely sure. The amount that you're gonna need to cover the balance is $300,289. That would sustain the fire department wages. The difference last year was the $494.06 that we had to put in, but to, take those funds out of our ARPA funds and general funds to balance the budget. But like I said, we can't do that. You'd never go into taking a little bit of a contingency is one thing, but that's a lot of money. So you either have to find out from the public, maybe they don't want a fire department, but you'll find out when, you have to put it on referendum. There is the provisions in the state statute, how we levy for stormwater, we levy for our garbage. And that's done because you don't want businesses paying for residential garbage. And stormwater is mandated by the EPA to the state's DNR. And previous boards have tried to get out of stormwater and never could. And we haven't raised it at all either, the $23. The only difference is there might be a little bit of change next year because we were notified that people that have accessory buildings, they have to pay for the non-pervious soil of an accessory building and a driveway, just so you know. So we have to go back to the assessors and recalculate all those numbers there also.
Which is a shame, considering everybody's got a big lot and the water runoff goes onto a grass surface usually, not into a ditch.
And the sad part, not that I'm defending anybody, but if you've gone by, there used to be a Hydro-X, their Miller pipeline. They have 3 huge stormwater ponds that cost them a lot of money. And I had to increase, I always ask Vince to give me the ERU numbers for those calculations, but what they have to pay in non-pervious soil. And they don't get any credit for the 3 huge stormwater. And trust me, when we have a bad storm, one of my responsibilities is not only their ponds, but the ponds that we have in Vernon, if they're functioning or not. That we kind of monitor. That's because every 2 years we have to do an extremely comprehensive report to the DNR to give to the EPA for compliance. And eventually we're going to get audited by them also. The only good thing is we don't have any storm sewers yet. Or, we have a little storm sewer working in Morningstar, and then the new subdivision that we're going to have that's coming at the Plan Commission tonight, they'll have a lot more stormwater comprehension there also. But that's really the highlights of the budget.
You guys have any questions? We've kind of been over it all
Over and over.
before.
But maybe the public has questions.
Public, any comments? Please come forward. State your name and address, please.
Are you Mrs. Claus? Did you want to be on camera?
My name is Lynn Gunn. I live at South 84 West 24540 Pheasant Hill Road. And I just have a question. There's a lot of chatter on social media about the fire department and their shared responsibilities with the village of Waukesha. Why have we not heard anything transparently for the revenues that we should be collecting for those calls that we're doing on behalf of Waukesha?
And I should tell you, I did, because the board had asked also, I did email our ambulance company to ask if because I'm trying to find out, the board wants to know that also. And I did contact the clerk, and I do have an email from her, because I asked her, what have you sent to us for for any type of ALS or BLS, any type of where our fire department's there, and she said they haven't, and I know they don't have any, they didn't pay us anything because I see the reports. We've had a couple from the Village of Big Bend this year, but nothing, so that's something that, and the problem I think I have to find out from the billing company is, you know, how Vernon's, we have 53189 where Pheasant Hill is and 5310. We have so many zip codes. I don't know if that's difficult, but they told me, the billing company, that, you know, those computers that the fire department uses when they answer a call, those people are supposed to key in if it's a Vernon resident or what municipality they're responding to. So we are trying to get that information for the public, and as soon as I can get something solid, but I can tell you, Village of Waukesha has not paid us anything.
Well, and I think they would pay us if we were invoicing, right? And so the question, if you back up in the process, are we invoicing?
We have a company that does that. We don't
Right.
invoice.
And is there audits and checks and balances around that? And how much is the fire department responsibility, like you said?
Right.
Checking in their computer so
Right.
that it flags the process to do an invoice.
Right.
But some of the chatter on social media for the Keeping Vernon Informed group that they've dug into, it looks like it's over $600,000 in arrears for bills that haven't been paid or invoiced. But I don't know the truth behind that. This is just the chatter,
Yeah, and
and we just want transparency.
right, and I'm not arguing that fact, and I think that number is more or less how much time and how many they broke down the call logs and how many calls we have in Waukesha, and then divided it by our budget. So if we spend 30% of our, if 30% of our calls are in the Village of Waukesha, well, that equivalates, or 40% it equivalates to
Yes.
680,000 that they posted,
Yeah.
which I mean is,
It's significant when we're talking about the numbers that we're talking about.
right,
It
I
would
mean-
drastically help.
correct. You're spending 40% of your time in another municipality and not receiving any.
And we as residents should not be paying for those services.
Correct.
From our
And
tax
I know
dollars,
we
so.
did change the fee schedule so that Vernon residents would, they get a discount at a lower rate, but it should be substantially lower from what, I mean, look at the increase. Last year was, 494,000 just to maintain, so we could have paramedics here and maintain the crews. But I know the board's going to do a lot more research on that also. 'Cause
I don't think anybody's arguing that we don't need them.
Right.
We want to support them, right? It's a critical service. I think the question and the chatter and I would say anger is around the lack of transparency or the thought that we're not invoicing and collecting monies that are due to us, and then having to pay for those services because we're not charging them.
Yeah, and like I said, the billing company, and I'll get that in writing from them, indicated that from what they're getting, and that's from the people that are using the computers on the call, even if it has a Waukesha mailing, it's still, it could be a Vernon resident, so that's what we're trying to
Yes.
clarify.
Yes.
Because if you look at, this board always looks at Waukesha's. Jamie, you're over here, Plan Commission isn't now. Sorry, dear. If you look at the Village of Waukesha's responses from them coming in our community, it's pretty substantial.
The Village of Waukesha coming into,
When they do their monthly reports, you'll see how much mutual aid is given to Vernon, and
it's
you'll see.
virtually a few calls a month, and I think it was like 22 total for the year, which is.
Yeah, which is nothing
Very
really
low.
compared to what
Yeah.
we're
We've-
Right,
providing.
I think we're at like 136
Yes.
to their.
Right.
And then
Yes.
22 isn't even just to Vernon, it's to whoever else.
Yes.
Right, yeah, so I know the board's looking into that.
Here's the other end of it too. Say we didn't do any calls to any other community, we're not saving $600,000.
Understood.
We still have the same
Understood.
expenses. At least this way, they're out trying to make some revenue versus sitting at the station.
Absolutely
paid,
fair.
not
We already
doing
have the
anything.
capital and the equipment and the labor with the staffing. Absolutely, that's fair. I think that when we're talking about the budget and we're seeing the numbers that we're seeing and we're hearing that there's a possible or potential for over $600,000 to support us, that's where the question comes in and that's where the work of the
A lot of
board.
wear and tear on vehicles and
Absolutely,
equipment
it needs to be
stuff
cut
like
down.
that.
Absolutely.
So both sides are,
They're valid.
understand both sides.
Both can be true.
But
But we need to have a better idea on the finances and make
Correct.
sure we're getting paid for our calls that we do provide.
Correct. And having some type of checks and balances every month to make sure that we're not in arrears come Q3 or Q4 and then we're trying to collect a boatload of money, but to have some kind of checks and balances on the
Right.
process and procedure every month.
And the only way you can see that, they do send me a report that and that's something I would never put out. And no one would expect to see who it is. But I did put out a report that it didn't have any delineation of who the person was, but the call. And that's something that would be interesting, because of HIPAA, you wouldn't want to publicize that, but I can't, in as much as I know about the village, I can't tell 100% if it's a call on the freeway with a Waukesha. That's something I don't understand. I just need to know more.
Correct.
And this is a new billing company, but I can assure you the board and I are researching that, and we will get that information.
And it's
'Cause that
not
is-
just the village of Waukesha, but it's also insurance companies and where other funds could come from to support those incidents.
Yeah, the biggest detriment is Medicare and Medicaid. It's a big, we take a lot of, but all municipalities do.
There's that, and the staffing is very
Right.
heavy.
Right.
So we gotta look into the staffing model
Right.
to try to.
I think there's a lot of opportunity in the fire department, we'll just say that.
Yes,
but,
there's a lot
yeah.
of things that we need to look at.
Okay,
Let's see.
great.
And I've been talking to some other communities. Big Bend wants nothing to do with us providing fire and EMS to them. I was trying to work out a deal. We provided that, and they provide police service. They're willing to provide police service, but don't want our fire and EMS for their community. Still working with the village of Waukesha, trying to work out some possibilities here, but it's all just very slow and
And I did talk,
That's all good news, thank you.
I talked to the administrator in the town of Mugwanago because years ago she called and said, hey, would you guys be interested? And when it was brought to the board at that, they said no. But, times change and, I mean, just the
especially when the
personnel.
board turns over after
Right.
the elections, the new
It's
board
not an
may be more
uncommon thing
willing.
anymore. There's
They-
quite a few departments that are doing this.
Guanago wasn't opposed,
Yeah, it's,
an
we should,
option, so we
yeah.
can look
I mean, just so the taxpayers know that we're looking at all options, not just,
And it doesn't always have to be a merger. You can always, I think we can start within the fire department and then source our options from there.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments about the budget? You guys are letting us off easy. All right, so we need to make a motion to pass Resolution 2025-10 to adopt the Village of Vernon 2026 budget. No, is it Resolution 2025-11?
Oh, it's 10.
Is it 10?
Yep.
Oh, that's the next one.
Yes.
That's page off.
It's, just so the public knows, it is a levy for 1.989589, which covers the 272.93 for the debt service and 1716596 for the levy for the Village of Vernon's levy
Which would be a tax rate of $1.45 per
per
thousand.
thousand. Yep.
Which is 1 cent more than last year's tax rate per thousand. Motion was made by trustee Pecca.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And C is just a repetition of B.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 tax levy of $1,989,589 to be collected in 2025-26. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And then, board members, the last resolution that I need passed tonight, you did a resolution for the 2020-26 calendar year for voting. Everything's going to be held here. But there's a split in the county supervisor's seats. So it has to be split 3 different ways. One polling unit splits 2 by individual wards and the other is combined. So what I would need you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is pass resolution 2020-25-11. It's a resolution providing the combination of wards for the spring primary, the spring election, the partisan primary, and the general election in 2020-26 with all polling locations to be held by the village hall.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, I will put this up on the, all this information up on the website as soon as I get a hold of the county after Plan Commission, because I want those tax bills to be printed ASAP.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Got 8 minutes to call the county.
I'm gonna email her as soon as, I'm gonna email her right now. Eric, did you bring a big map?
7.
Thank you.
Just come back. No, we got plan commission. Joey. That one is done. That is done.
Perfect. Perfect. Yay! Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, he'll be here. Christine. Yeah.
I just come to bitch about snow plowing.
And it'd be good to have.
Good.
Okay.
Planning commission needs to approve